Hi there, we're here for a tutorial on concept number 2 with our grade 7 big ideas review, operations of decimal numbers. Now, remember that a decimal number might be something like 6.5, right? So 6.5 meaning 0.5 is half of the whole. Another way to represent fractions, 6.5 on the number scale, right? If this is our number line here, right, we might have 5, 10, right? There's 6, 7, 8, 9. If this is 6, right? This is 7. 6.5 would live somewhere in between, right? That somewhere would be 0.5 or halfway in between 6 and 7. Now, most students are comfortable with decimals and typing decimals into calculators, but sometimes you don't have the luxury of a calculator. So let's go over some of the same operations and how to tackle them using mental math, right? So, first of all, perhaps you might have a question, right? So here's question number 1 with some addition, right? So 2.6 plus 3.8 plus 1.08. Now, if it's written like this, right, I highly recommend that rather than writing it horizontally, you write it vertically. So we'll rewrite it 2.6, 3.8. You want to line the decimal places up in a nice pretty line, and 1.08. Let's add these three numbers together. Now, starting at the far right, we can put zeros in here as placeholders. Right, so 0 plus 0 plus 8, right, gives you 8. 6 plus 8 plus 0, right, gives you 14. Right, so you put the 4, carry the 1 over to the next column, right, line up all those decimals. There's a decimal in your answer too. 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7. So your final answer is 7.48. Be the same process with subtraction. Now, multiplication gets a little bit more challenging. Let's say, for example, we have a question like 2.1 times 6. Again, when it's written horizontally like that, highly recommend that you rewrite it 2.1 times 6. It's nice to put the number with the least amount of digits below, right? You don't have to, but it helps. Now, when I go through this process, I'll go take that 6 and multiply it by each number up top. So 6 times 1 is 6, and then I'll go 6 times 2 is 12, right? So you write it like that. Now, because there's one decimal in my answer, or one decimal in my question, one decimal in the answer. And that kind of makes sense, right? It's a good idea to estimate. Well, you know that 2 times 6 is 12, right? So if it's 2.1 times 6, it's going to be a little bit bigger than 12. Now, let's go through a division one. So with division, perhaps we have something like 6.2 or 6.5 divided by 2. Right? Now, to write it out, lots of different ways to divide, but again, a good estimate, right? 6 divided by 2 is 3, so I have a ballpark about where I want to be. So I'm going to rewrite it as in 6.5 divided by 2, but looks like this. And here we go. Right? I'm going to take each term of that 6 and that 5 by itself. I know that 2 goes into 6 3 times. Right? So I'll write a 3 up here. And then you multiply, right? 2 times 3 is 6. Right? So that number goes there. And then you subtract. Remember, 6 minus 6 is 0. Bring down that 5. Now, because there's a decimal here, I'm going to make a decimal directly on top. And again, things are nice if you line up your decimals all pretty. It kind of works out a bit better. And you do the same process over again. 2 goes into 5 twice, right? So the 2 goes up here, and then you multiply. 2 times 2 is 4, right? And then you subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1, and then I'm going to bring down a 0 and do the process again, right? This time 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times 2 is 10. Got a remainder of 0. My answer, a nice even 3.25. Now, this is probably a good time too to talk a little bit about order of operations, right? Order of operations. So while we're doing all these operations, might be non-decimal whole numbers, we do need to keep in mind the rules of BEDMAS. Remember that B stands for brackets, right? E stands for exponents. Exponents. D stands for division. M is multiplication. Multiply. A is addition. And S is subtraction. Now, brackets always go first. Exponents, division and multiplication, whichever appears first in the question. Same thing with addition and subtraction, whatever you see first when you go left to right in your question. So let's try an example here. We'll leave the decimals for now, just so that we can kind of tackle these rules. Let's say we have something like 6 times 2 plus 12 divided by 3 times 4. Right? We've got 3 different operations in here: multiplication, addition, division. So according to BEDMAS, right, it's not a bad idea to write it up on the top of your sheet. No brackets, right? There's no exponents. So the first thing, I look at division and multiplication in the order that they appear. So when I travel left to right, I see multiplication first, right? So I'll do 6 times 2, which is 12. And then it's not a bad habit just to do one thing at a time, right, if you're not quite ready. And then you go through again, do any other division and multiplication you see. So the 12, right, it kind of just stands alone. I see this division question, 12 divided by 3, which is 4, right, times 4. Right, so there's no more division, but I can handle that multiplication, right? 4 times 4 is 16. All that multiplication division is gone. I'm into the addition part, right? 12 plus 16 is 28. All right. Question can change pretty dramatically if you add exponents, right, in brackets. So for example, let's do 6 times 2 plus 12, right? And then maybe do a plus 3 times 2 to the exponent 2. Well, let's make it actually 2 to the exponent 3. So when I go through this question, right, I need to do the brackets first. So I'm not going to touch anything until I add that 2 plus 12, which is 14, right? And then everything else can stay the same. So brackets are gone. Let's look at the exponents. So I'll leave everything the same. Remember, I can drop those brackets now, right, and just write 6 times 14. Plus, I've got an exponent here. Now, 2 cubed means 2 times 2 times 2. So the answer isn't 6, right? But it's 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8. Okay? So the answer here is 3 times 8. So exponents are gone. Let's look at division and multiplication in the order that they appear. So I get a multiplication question first. 6 times 14. Now, I'm just going to do a little rough work on the side. All right, 6 times 4 is 24. Put down the 4, carry the 2. 6 times 1 is 6. 7, 8. My answer is 84. Plus 3 times 8. Again, right, I've got another multiplication question. This time I know that 8 times 3 is 24. Right? Put that down. And now, final step, any adding or subtracting. Feel free to write this out the long way if you'd like to. Right? 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. My final answer, 108. Right? I hope that helps a little bit. Right? Thank you.